Okay, let's get into our Week 18 NFL power rankings. First thing I'm going to do is talk about the teams that just missed the cut, not deserving of a top 10 ranking, but pretty good teams nonetheless. Let's start with the Jacksonville Jags. Still probably going to end up as the AFC South champion. It's not a done deal yet, though. Won their first game after a 4-game losing streak. They need to get back on track, or they're going to be one and done in these playoffs. AFC bracket's going to be really tough. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had a chance to lock up the NFC South and failed miserably against the Saints. So they're outside looking in, and a team that is really has their arrow pointing up, in my opinion, the Houston Texans, kind of like the Rams. Nobody thought much of them at the start of this year. They are going to be another team that's going to be, as they say, tanking. Well, they are wrong on that. D'Amico Ryans has that team moving and shaking the AFC South. And if they beat the Colts in Week 18, they will be in the playoffs. And the Pittsburgh Steelers go up to Seattle and win and beat a Seattle team that's up against it, trying to get into the playoffs. A must-win game for both those teams, and the Steelers handled them. I think it's the first time the Steelers have won there since the 1980s. Mason Rudolph getting it done. So they're outside looking in as well. And then the Green Bay Packers, when they're at their best, they're kind of a scary team, but they're just very inconsistent. And that's probably due to their youth, a very young team, younger than our Los Angeles Rams even. But so they are also outside this top 10. No new additions to the top 10, same 10 teams, but there's been some shuffling here. My new number 10 team dropping 2 spots, the Eagles, losing at home to the Cardinals. Their defense is really struggling. Not the same team we saw as last year. And sometimes you got to take a step back, and you're tempted to rank the teams like the Eagles and Chiefs higher than they deserve just because of what they've gotten done in recent seasons. But the Eagles are not the same team, really having trouble on defense. So they're my number 10 team, 11-5. They visit the New York Giants for their season finale and then on to the playoffs. My number 9 team, the Cleveland Browns, 11-5. They move up 1 spot. Now, I have the Rams above them. We'll get to that in a second. The Rams have 2 less wins, but the Rams did beat the Browns. Now, that was Joe Flacco's first start. So if they were to play right now, man, I don't know what the odds on that game would be, but it'd be pretty tight. Browns, I've probably not been giving them the credit that I should have. It's all about their defense. If their defense plays like they're capable, and Joe Flacco is just pretty good, Browns could go a long way in the playoffs. They travel to Cincinnati Week 18. My number 8 team, our Los Angeles Rams, 9-7. They face the 49ers. It's basically going to be a preseason game. Brock Purdy versus Carson Wentz. That's right. And, the Rams at their best right now are a really dangerous team, but I do have some concerns. Us Ram fans, we know what those concerns are. It's basically, can our secondary hold up against some of these passing attacks? In my opinion, that's the concern, because this bend but don't break defense has been breaking too much, getting beat over the top. That's my biggest concern with the Rams, and that's why I'm not sure who I want them to play, the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb, or this much more diversified Lions attack. Probably going to be one of those 2 teams. I know the Lions-Rams is an attractive game for other reasons. Stafford versus Goff, Stafford playing in Detroit. But I'm sorry. I'm starting to think the Rams have a better chance of beating the Cowboys, and I know I'm in the minority on that, but that's how I feel today. I may change my mind by tomorrow. My number 7 team, the Kansas City Chiefs, 10-6. They come out to SoFi to play the Chargers, and just like the Eagles, this team has to reprove it. They have to prove it again to me that they are really a Super Bowl contender at this point. I'm not so sure they are, but Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, I don't know if I'd want to play him. My number 6 team, the Miami Dolphins, dropping 2 spots. They'll host the Buffalo Bills in an AFC East clash. They just got hammered by the Ravens, and that's really concerning. I thought that was going to be, two Titans battling it out for supremacy, or at least on paper, supremacy going into the playoffs. Ravens are obviously going to be the higher seed at this point, and that's going to be big if these two teams meet again. It's going to be in Baltimore if that happens. So I'm giving the nod to the Ravens, and the Dolphins had, I don't know, it just didn't show up. Losing Bradley Chubb, the outside linebacker edge rusher, is a pretty big deal too. So Dolphins take a hit there. My number 5 team, the Detroit Lions, 11-5. Now, you can make the argument that they should be rated higher than the Cowboys because they went into Dallas and played them down to the end there, and actually probably should have won that game if not for some refereeing mistakes. So I don't know. I'll leaving them at 5 though, where they were last week, and I'm putting the Cowboys above them. But if those two teams played in Detroit, I'd probably be betting on the Lions. Lions host the Vikings in Week 18. Number 4 team, the Cowboys, same 11-5 record as the Lions. They travel to Washington to play the Commanders. And the thing about the Cowboys is, Dak Prescott playing great, CeeDee Lamb lighting it up. The defense is really good, but the defense is not so great against the rush. And I'm not sure the Cowboys have enough weapons. If someone can figure out a way to take away CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks is there. He's a good receiver too. But I don't know. I'd like my chances against the Cowboys, as I said. Rams going in there and running the ball with Kyren Williams. Remember, the last time they played, Williams was not available. My number 3 team, the Buffalo Bills, 10-6 record. I have them higher than most folks, I think, but they're cruising along pretty good. Them and the Rams, probably the 2 hottest teams. There's the Ravens, of course, but they're playing very well on both sides of the ball. Josh Allen getting it done. Another team, if I'm an AFC team like the Dolphins and the Chiefs, the Browns, I don't want to play the Bills right now. My number 2 team, the San Francisco 49ers, 12-4. They host the Rams. And they had that bump in the road against the Ravens, and they had that 3-game losing streak. So I think everybody's over this idea that they're unbeatable at this point, right? Because they are definitely beatable. And I think the thing about the 49ers, and I put the Cowboys in the same, I view them in the same light, the 49ers and the Cowboys. Really good teams, but there's something about them in the playoffs. Just not convinced they're going to get it done. They're going to do something. They're going to choke at some point, both of these teams. That's my gut feeling. And so, 49ers are still clearly the number 2 team in the league, though, right now. The thing about the 49ers is I think their path to the Super Bowl might be a little easier in the NFC than the AFC, although the Cowboys and Lions could put up a stiff test. But remember, they're going to have to go to Santa Clara to beat them. And the one team that I think would have a good shot at beating the 49ers in Santa Clara might be our Rams because of the familiarity. And it's kind of maybe a blessing in disguise that they're playing a preseason game in Week 18, these two teams, because the Rams don't have to show them anything. 49ers will have some extra time to prepare. But who do they prepare for? They're not sure, right? But I bet you they're preparing for the Rams. And my number 1 team, no brainer here, the best team in the NFL, and it's not even close, the Baltimore Ravens. They travel out to San Francisco, Santa Clara, and take care of the 49ers, come home and just smash the Dolphins. That's my number 2 and my number 6 team that they handled pretty easily. So shout out to the Ravens, man. Lamar Jackson getting it done. He's clearly the MVP. And Harbaugh, what a great coach. Great week for the Harbaugh family, huh? Maybe it'll be another great week if I'm pulling for the Huskies, but if the Ravens close out with a 14-3 record, and Michigan takes care of the Huskies. What a great year for those two guys, the brothers, the Harbaugh brothers. But I'm picking the Huskies getting off track here. I'm picking the Huskies Monday night. By the way, they wouldn't crack my top 10 though, but man, they are so much fun to watch. But anyways, that's my Week 18 power rankings, 1 through 10. Ravens at the top, not even close. And we'll do this one more time before the playoffs. We'll have our end of season power rankings about a week out from now. Thanks. Thanks a lot. See you next time.